Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Berea City Council meeting. This is August the 5th, but that's not right. It is right. Okay, August the 5th. I missed a day this week. Tuesday, August the 5th, 2025. I'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, please let the record reflect that a quorum is present. This time I'll call on Cora Jane Wilson to lead us in our invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, for all your many blessings. Lord, I just pray that you would be with us, bless us to make wise decisions on behalf of the city. Lord, watch over our employees, keep a hand over them, Lord, and just help us to do our very best for the citizens of Berea, and it's in Jesus' name I pray. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Cora Jane. The next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve by John Payne? Is there a second? By Cora Jane Wilson. Any discussion on the motion to approve the agenda? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. The agenda is approved. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our July 15th, 2025 meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
By Steve Cuttle. Is there a second?
Second.
By Jerry Little. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve the minutes from July 15th? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, please say no. Motion carries and the minutes are approved. The next item on the agenda is public comment. Madam Clerk, we have no one signed up for public comment this evening. Thank you. With that, we will move forward. I'm very happy to welcome back a frequent visitor and a good friend, Berea's resident Craig Williams is the program director, Kentucky Environmental Foundation, to update us on the chemical weapons disposal process at the Bluegrass Army Depot. Craig, welcome back. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, everyone, for showing up. Appreciate it, and glad we're getting a little more rain tonight. Now, Ronnie told me that he thought this would be my last presentation. He was hoping that that would be the case. But I told him there'll probably be one more, maybe two more, because this program seems to never end. I'd like to start off with the economic impact. Just a lot of this is just material that we've talked about before. This is an update of the status of that. For example, if you'll note on the top line, the BCAP, Bluegrass Chemical Agent Pilot Plant project, now is down to 900 employees. They were up to 1,460 at one time. 50% of the workforce is local. Acquisitions, you can read how much money they've spent on Madison County, Kentucky companies, $122 million. Local payroll's been $1.439 billion, which is a significant financial impact to the community and the region. Safety is a big issue out there, always has been. I think if you look at some of the statistics on that page, you'll be impressed. I know I am impressed every time I go out there or meet with these folks, how they've gotten rid of all of these chemical weapons without anyone getting seriously injured, which is a remarkable accomplishment. And the work that they're doing now during the closure phase also has its hazards, but nowhere near what they dealt with when the weapons were still there. Static detonation chambers are being used right now to dispose of the remaining surety material. And what that means is any materials that have been exposed to agent are considered surety materials and have to be disposed of under the permit. There are two SDCs out there, the 1200 and the 2000. You can see in your handout how many of each and what percentage of each have been disposed of. These are contaminated rocket warheads, VXNGB from the M55 rockets, And they're about to wind that up, and they're projecting that it'll be completed by November of this year. And that will eliminate all chemical contaminated materials that have been stowed at that depot permanently. Main plant, that's where the weapons were destroyed. They're moving along quite well in the closure process there. In fact, they have certified the munitions disposal building or demilitarization building, the one where the weapons actually came in the door, were run through the process and disposed of. That facility has now been cleared as agent-free, which allows them to go in there and start getting that building prepared for demolition. They're also doing work with the water systems, potable water, so on and so forth. Moving some trailers out that have been there for 17 years that were kind of temporary. They turned out to be longer than temporary, but that's what was their original plan. Other items, the igloos that contain the chemical weapons are being closed, and they are also monitored very carefully. They are decontaminated. There are concrete chips that are intentionally chipped off the walls and the floor so that those can be tested for any residual agent that might be there. They will use those igloos for something else in the future. What that's going to be is not known, but it will not be chemical warfare material. There will be no more chemical warfare material brought to Kentucky ever again. The schedule for ultimate completion, as you are well aware, there's a very complicated process. I've been working on this project for 40 years, and it never ceases to amaze me how many agencies and procedures you have to go through in order to get one item checked off on the list. However, they're making extremely good progress on the closure itself. And as you'll see, there's going to be another drawdown of employees from this project of about 200 employees. That'll bring this total down to around 700 sometime later this month or maybe in September, depending upon how things go. Everything's contingent upon the amount of work and the capability of the employees that are there before they'll know exactly who they're going to let go and why. This is a chart that shows in graphic form the decline in employment as we go through the period. And you can see where we are now is around, according to this chart, it's around, oh, that's 26. There we go. Yeah, August. Yeah, it's around 900 right now, as I pointed out. And there'll be a decline in the number of employees both at that plant and at the area that stored the chemical weapons when they were there, the chemical activity, they call it. The next slide shows you some of the efforts that have been going on by the Army, but particularly by the joint venture, the contracting entities that have performed the demilitarization process. There's a lot of numbers on this chart, but as you can see, there have been a lot of local people hired off of this facility, 37 from Amentum and on up the chart. Total of people that have been laid off, I guess you'd call it, is 323 according to this chart. Because of that, and because these people are highly skilled and highly trained and passed all kinds of security clearances, Bechtel Parsons Bluegrass, which is the head organization of the joint venture, will be holding a job fair for these folks and anyone else that's interested in learning about available jobs in the local industrial base. And you can see some of the companies that are going to be there. to explain what kind of job opportunities they might have. We've all worked very hard in trying to transition these employees into something that they can do locally or regionally. But of course, many of the employees for the contractors are company people who will be relocated to different areas where those companies have activities going on. And Bechtel, for example, Bechtel is one of the biggest engineering companies in the world, and they have operations globally. And so many of these people are opting to stick with the company and go elsewhere. So everybody keeps asking, when is this going to be ultimately finished? And the answer is nobody knows quite yet, because each one of these steps has to be completed chronologically in many cases in order to get to the next step. The permitting closure for the RCRA, or Research, Conservation, and Recovery Act process that KDEP, the Kentucky Department of Environmental Protection, oversees in Kentucky, is the long pole in the tent. Every time you complete a certain milestone, you have to be in compliance with that part of the permit that allowed you to do that operation. So every time they complete something, they got to go to KDEP, submit a report, say we did this, we did that, see if it fits the criteria that the permit requires, and if it does, then that is checked off, and on it goes. But you can see from this chart that site demolition is expected to be in July. About a year from now, they're going to start tearing down the buildings that have been designated for destruction. Not all of the buildings have been designated for destruction. The ones that haven't been have never touched agent. That's the first requirement. If it had agent in it, it has to be demolished. It'll be decontaminated, demolished, and landfilled. But the other buildings, some of the support buildings and so on, will stay and be an asset to the depot as things go on. Which leads me to my last slide. Excuse me. And I want to point out, I am not authorized by the depot to speak on their behalf. I want to be very clear about that. There's always been a bright line between the Chemical Weapons Project and the depot operations themselves, and particularly with the advisory board and advisory commission on this issue. They want to keep that bright line there so people don't get confused about what's going on. But I'm sure many of you have been reading lately about the effort to try and maintain depot operations there once all the chemical weapons are gone. The depot is a huge economic contributor to the county. It's a very important operation for our military. And so when I inquired as to what's going to happen with the depot, this is the information I received from the Joint Munitions Command public affairs woman, who I've met several times, very fine lady. And so you can read it, and that's the status of the depot's future as of last week. So if you're reading the paper or you hear somebody say, well, the depot's closing, or we know what's going to happen, they're going to bring in whatever. No. The decisions are all being made at the Joint Munitions Command and the Army Material Command, which is their superior agency. So, no closures have been announced about the depot, no future work, other than a couple of contracts have been let for some operations post-chemical demill. Pardon me. And that's what I have. I'll take any questions, and I appreciate everyone taking the time to listen. And also, I anticipate there'll probably be one or two more presentations as time goes on, and then I will bid a fond farewell to chemical weapons and my role in it, and be joyously working in my garden instead of making slides for y'all. But thanks very much. I'll take any questions you
Thank you,
might
Craig.
have.
Questions or comments for Craig? John?
Craig, I just want to say thank you, because I know this has been a decades-long endeavor to remove, these toxic materials from Madison County, and I think we all feel a little bit safer for it.
Well, I know I do. Thanks, John. Appreciate that. Okay, thanks, folks. Appreciate it.
Greg, appreciate all your work.
Thank you.
Appreciate the information, too. All right, moving forward, number 8, we have resolution number 14-2025, speed limits on Kentucky 595, Kentucky 956, and Kentucky 2974. Mr. Gilbert.
Whereas the city has experienced significant residential and commercial growth near Interstate 75, exit 77, which is steadily increasing traffic volume in the area. And whereas the Kentucky Highway 595, also known as Walnut Meadow Road, has a speed limit of 55 miles per hour from the Berea city limits to the intersection with Mady Road and the Berea bypass. And whereas Kentucky Highway 956, the Berea bypass, has a speed limit of 55 miles per hour, and whereas Kentucky 2874, Old Peggy Flats Road, has an up-posted statutory speed limit of 55 miles per hour, and whereas growth in the area make the 55 mile per hour speed limit an inappropriate rate of speed. Now therefore be it resolved that in the interest of public safety, the City Council of the City of Berea recommends changing the speed limits on Kentucky Highway 595, Walnut Meadow Road, Kentucky Highway 956, Berea Bypass, and Kentucky Highway 2874, Old Peggy Flats Road as follows. 1. Kentucky Highway 595, Walnut Meadow Road, from 55 miles an hour to 45 miles per hour from the intersection with Gwynn Road, Berea city limits, to the intersection with Mady Road and Berea Bypass. 2. Kentucky Highway 956, the Berea Bypass, from 55 miles an hour per hour to 45 miles per hour from the intersection with Menless Road to the intersection with Mady Road and Kentucky Highway 595. 3. Kentucky Highway 2674, Old Peggy Flats Road, from 55 miles per hour to 35 miles per hour for the entire length of Kentucky Highway 2674 to the intersection of Highway 595, Walnut Meadow Road. 4. The City Council of the City of Berea, Kentucky requests the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet to conduct a survey of these areas and to notify the council of the results of the study. 5. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its passage.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Is there a motion to approve and adopt resolution number 14-2025? By John Payne. Is there a second? By Ronnie Terrell. Is there any discussion on resolution number 14-2025? Steve?
2974. Is that the number, 2974?
2874 is Old Peggy's Flats Road.
Okay, we just we have it labeled incorrectly in our agenda, is the reason I was asking. It was throwing me off.
I heard it pronounced 2674 once there, and then 2874. So,
I just want to make sure it was right in the resolution.
We'll make sure the intent is Old Peggy's Flats Road from the intersection with Walnut Meadow Road to the, basically in the curve.
Yeah, and I tried to look it up.
Right there.
It actually just says Old Peggy Flats Road.
It does. And then I'll also note that this was subject to a work session before our last meeting 3 weeks ago, and some changes were made to the resolution based on the comments from the council at that. And one item of note on Old Peggy's Flats Road, when you get into the county section out of city limits, there is the road is a county road, and it does not have a center stripe. And according to our Public Works Director, that it is 35 when you have an unstriped, no center lane county road. So that would make it consistent and slow traffic down through that residential area. Other comments? We'll double check that, Steve, to make sure, and with that objection, we could make that editorial comment. But I'm pretty sure it's 2874, but I'll have to look at that on a map to be sure. Thank you. Other comments? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve and adopt resolution number 14-2025, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. The motion carries, and we will get that to the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet District 7, which does require the resolution to do the study, and we will let you all know of their findings and recommendations based on what we're requesting that they do. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is Resolution Number 15-2025, House Bill 1 Grant for Kenway Street Extension. Mr. Gilbert.
Whereas the City Council of the City of Berea, Kentucky desires to promote and carry out community development efforts on behalf of the residents of the city by supporting the House Bill 1 project. And whereas it is recognized that HB 1 monies available to the city for the purposes stated therein pursuant to the 2024 General Assembly House Bill 1, the appropriations bill, imposes certain obligations and responsibilities upon the city and will require, among other things, 1, the approval of a satisfactory application transmitted to DLG for approval, 2, registration with the Finance and Administration Cabinet to do business with the Commonwealth, and 3, other obligations of the city in connection with receiving the HB 1 grant of monies for the purposes stated therein. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Berea, Kentucky as follows. 1, that an HB 1 project grant application on behalf of the city for HB 1 monies up to $1 million for the Kenway Street Extension Project shall be submitted, and the city shall provide such additional information and furnish such documentation as may be required, and the city mayor shall act as the authorized correspondent for this project. 2, this resolution shall take effect immediately upon its passage.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Is there a motion to approve and adopt Resolution Number 15-2025 by Cora Jane Wilson? And is there a second by Ronnie Terrell? Any discussion on the motion? Ronnie, go right ahead.
Does this mean that we can start buying property with the right of way?
We could at any time, but it would not be reimbursed until we actually receive the funding from the state. We expect that to happen as soon as we get the application in.
So you gonna wait till we get the money or go ahead and buy?
Yes. That would be our intent is,
Go ahead and buy the right of way so we can start.
because that would not be a reimbursable expense.
Well, that is a little problem.
Yeah. Other comments or questions on the motion? Any other comments or questions on the motion? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve and adopt Resolution 15-2025, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. The motion carries, and Resolution Number 15-2025 is approved and adopted. Thank you all. The next item on the agenda is Resolution Number 16-2025, Statewide First Responders Mutual Aid Agreement. Mr. Gilbert.
Whereas the City of Berea has the authority and responsibility to provide the rescue, fire rescue, and public safety services within its boundaries. And whereas the City of Berea desires to secure the benefits of mutual aid and fire prevention, the protection of life and property, and to restore the public safety, health, and welfare of a community stricken by an emergency or disaster. And whereas it may become necessary from time to time to request assistance from agencies throughout the Commonwealth for emergencies or disasters within the City of Berea, or respond to requests for assistance from agencies outside the City of Berea to restore the public safety, health, and welfare of a community stricken by an emergency or disaster. And whereas mutual aid agreements ensure that citizens, regardless of their geographic location, receive quality first response in time of emergencies and disasters. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Berea, Kentucky as follows. 1, that the City Council of the City of Berea does hereby ratify and approve the statewide emergency management mutual aid and assistance agreement attached hereto. 2, that the mayor of the City of Berea, Kentucky is hereby authorized, directed, and empowered to execute such agreements for mutual aid in fire prevention, the protection of life and property, and to restore the public safety, health, and welfare of a community stricken by an emergency or disaster, and all of the necessary documents or agreements, and to otherwise act on behalf of the city of Berea to implement such agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Is there a motion to approve and adopt resolution number 16-2025 by John Payne? Is there a second?
Second.
Steve Davis. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve and adopt resolution 16-2025? Ronnie?
I got a question.
Yes.
Bruce, what if you're out of town? and
Put
we
your
can't get
microphone
a hold
on.
of you? I mean, who can authorize it?
Ronnie, my understanding is that with this resolution, that the city administrator would be able to deploy those resources for assistance in an emergency. Yes, and Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, but we already have mutual aid agreements with the county and other agencies that are close by. This will just extend that, and it's a statewide initiative to do this. And I think it actually grew out of the Mayfield tornadoes about 3 years ago, I think.
Along with Eastern Kentucky flooding
Right.
and different things like that, yeah.
And it also impacts if we assist, your ability to be reimbursed by FEMA, which is a key component to prevent delay in providing that immediate response. Sean, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, like you said there, Mayor, it provides opportunities for us to be reimbursed by FEMA, provided that they're declaring it an emergency or a declaration of emergency. I think more importantly, it goes with supporting our first responders, police and fire also, and their abilities to send first responders out of our city. Their efforts in doing that, and hopefully that there will be a reimbursement, but more importantly, that we were just supporting them in their efforts of helping others.
Other comments or questions on the motion? Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve and adopt resolution number 16-2025, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. The motion carries and the resolution is approved and adopted. Thank you all. The next item on the agenda is department head reports, and I'm happy to welcome back Kevin Howard, our general manager from Berea Municipal Utilities. Kevin, this says water, so I don't know if you're covering water, electric, and sewer, or just water. So the floor is yours. Look forward to your presentation.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Administrator Sandlin, Council, and tonight is water. A couple of things that I wanted to cover there before we get to the main topic. Just some things that we're working on in-house is a risk and resilience assessment and emergency response plan. This is a part of America's Water Infrastructure Act that mandates water utilities to first and create this plan, and then every 5 years you have to update that. Very good practice on our part, identifying weak spots in our system, how you address those in emergency or a disaster. So it's something that we'll be working on beginning shortly and be completing probably by the end of the year. Lead and copper service line inventory, I've not given an update on that for a little while. You know, that was a pretty intensive process of getting everything submitted to Division of Water. We have been approved. If you remember, we done the predictive modeling, and that limited our area to 370 samples that we gotta collect. We're getting ready to begin work on that. We're going to be doing that in-house. That's going to involve us going physically to 370 meters throughout our distribution system and our service area, and physically identifying the service line on the BMU side of the meter and the customer side of the meter. There is a 5-year period to complete that. We're going to be pretty aggressive there and try to do that in a couple years, and hopefully have this first phase of the lead and copper rule revision behind us. Another one of our capital projects this fiscal year is completing the Bee Lake Corrective Action Plan. If you remember, there were several things up there as far as the concrete structure, just making some repairs to some of that aging concrete infrastructure. There were also just some cosmetic stuff such as regrading, filling in some holes. We have completed in-house. We've done everything on the regrading work, brush removal and everything. We're working and developing a plan of getting the concrete work began shortly. Quick report on our lakes. We're into August, historically hot, dry period with high demand. Are pleased. Owsley Fork is down 1 foot. These numbers are as of Monday morning. Owsley Fork is down 1 foot. Cowbell's down 3 feet. Bee Lake's down 1 foot. Currently, our average daily demand's 3.2 million gallons a day. With that demand, that gives us 224 days of water supply. Very pleased with that number for this time of year. However, looking a little deeper into this, year to date through July, we've received 52.05 inches of rain. We began tracking this in January of 2011. So January of 2011, January through July time period, the same time period from 2011 to 2024, our average is 38.9 inches. So it's we're 13 inches above normal for this time of year. So even though the water supply is looking good right now, if we'd had a normal year, we're right back to one of our critical water shortage periods. And that leads me to the other update is Owsley Fork project. Since the last reported, we've had I would say a lot of forward progress. Our graveyard relocation plan and then the supplemental environmental plan. We found out we were going to have to do a supplemental environmental. That's been completed. It's been approved by Cultural Resource Associates and Kentucky NRCS. Our next step in this is petitioning the court for the permit issuance to go ahead and move forward with the graveyard relocation. Part of this work is going to entail removing some trees in the existing cemetery. Due to bad habitat, there is a time frame there of October through March of where we can take those trees down. So it does appear at this time our first boots on the ground work for this project will be in October, doing some tree removal and then transition on into the cemetery relocation. Utility relocates will also be moving forward. This is going to involve relocating some Bluegrass Energy on poles with electric and some communication cables from their existing locations out of the new normal pool level. We're coordinating with Southern Madison Water District on the relocation of existing water line in the staging area, as well as a couple of water meter relocations. I'd mentioned the contractor pre-qualification, I think in a report before. We're hoping to have that contractors on site in October. What this is going to do is give them an opportunity to see the site firsthand, review the plans while on the site. With a project this large, it's going to be some nationwide firms, and we want to get them in and give them a opportunity to look at that, and hopes to us is getting a competitive bid process. Construction permit, we do have verbal approval of 100% design from Kentucky NRCS. That is contingent on Division of Water issuing a construction permit. That's where we've been the last several weeks. We're communicating. There's 3 different sections that we're working through on this. First is the Office of Floodplain Management. I mentioned before the Clomer report, Certified Letter of Map Revision. We have completed that. Mayor Fraley signed that along with the floodplain coordinator of Madison County and Judge Executive in Jackson County. So all 3 governments approved that. That's been submitted to Office of Floodplain Management. The process now is they review that data. They revise those floodplain maps for FEMA. So there will be a new floodplain map coming out for the area impacted by the new project. Division of Dam Safety review is near complete. We've been in communication with them, a couple folks in that branch review. It is near complete. Happy to report that they gave us feedback that there were no deficiencies found at this part of that process. Water quality. This is where it gets just a little bit trickier. This section, they're working closely with Army Corps of Engineers. Army Corps of Engineer has to, they have to issue another permit on this. Open communications with them. We've had a couple of Zoom meetings, several phone calls. We do owe them a couple things, some revised construction drawings that have been submitted, a report of the impacts to existing streams and wetlands, and some background information on existing stream crossings in the construction area. We have to, identify we're going to be losing X amount of foot of streams and so many acres of wetlands. One thing that I wanted to park there for a second on is if there is some silver lining here on this slight delay, is since Army Corps first issued the permit in 2016, I think if I've got my date right there, there has been some federal regulations that's redefined ephemeral streams, and that's right now what was an ephemeral stream then does not qualify as appears it does not qualify as an ephemeral stream now. Very good impact on for us on that would be the savings of potentially up to $1 million on mitigation on those streams. So this is one delay that we've patiently worked through because it does appear like there's some significant savings there. Our next step, once we get all this completed, very near that of having everything submitted, is to get construction funding. In order to get construction funding, we have to verify that we've purchased all the properties and that we have also obtained the flowage easements. So that's what we've been doing internally is, getting our plan together on approaching the property owners out there. There's a total, outside of Berea College, there is a total of 8 properties with 7 different property owners, and we'll be reaching out to them individually and be speaking with them on the new floodplain restrictions, and then also on those flowage easements. So that's it in as quick as I could get it on Owsley Fork, but again, appreciate the opportunity to give you an update there. We have had some positive movement and very excited about where we're at and what lies ahead. We are inching closer.
Good information. Thank you, Kevin. Questions or comments for Kevin? Ronnie, hit your mic button.
How many years for the club have you been working on the dam, raising the dam, Kevin? I mean, it seems like it's been 15 years or longer.
Are you asking me personally?
Yeah.
It would be 13 years that I've been working on this project, and
It's not been done too fast.
I would agree that it's moved at a snail's pace at times.
Other
We
questions
are
or
very
comments
close
for
there.
Kevin? Kevin, thanks. Sorry, Steve.
I was just gonna say, I really appreciate you continuing to keep us updated, and Ronnie's right, this is taking forever, but this is one of those deals where I think there's a lot of people that would have probably dropped the ball on this a long time ago, and you have kept it going through weird shell readings and changes in regulations, and I know, you've been giving this update since I've been on city council, so I appreciate we're almost there. And so this will really be a big deal for the future of our city in terms of what we're able to provide, because if we don't have water, we obviously can't have any sort of growth. And to your point of being 13 inches above the average for the last 15 years, and still being a foot down, we have clearly crossed that threshold. So thank you for your continued work on that.
Mayor, if I may, one more.
Certainly, go right ahead.
To Ronnie's point there, I think looking back on the records, I might have even reported this before. I think the first correspondence I saw was 1988, when our engineers were working with Berea College Utilities at the time on building a new reservoir. But the other thing that I do want to point out there is there has been some financial incentive on these delays because there has been some monies opened up. There is more funding available than what there would have been 4 years ago if we'd have stayed on schedule. And one important point I want to point out is within our CS, I know that there've been times that we felt like a bottleneck there. NRCS is basically their main purpose is flood control, and this is one of the first projects that's been a combination flood control, water supply, and that's been some of the hindrances in the design and some of the, I guess, where we think that the goalpost keeps moving is we met it for flood control, but then whenever we come back in on water supply, that's complicated the process a little bit. So just wanted to mention that.
Can I make a prediction on the project? I think instead of cutting the ribbon when it's done, you want to cut it when it starts, because you've been doing it so many years. It's a long time.
I agree. I do agree.
Other questions or comments for Kevin? Kevin, great report. Appreciate the work of you and your whole team. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, would any other department heads like to address the council? I see our fire chief, Charlie, is here with a whole bunch of fire department employees. Charlie Russell. Charlie, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. First off, I want to thank you all for supporting the resolution on that mutual aid agreement. That's going to make the department really, really happy when we get that call and we can go help others, our neighbors. So we do appreciate that. So big news in the fire department today. We held our promotion process, so our assistant chief spot has been filled. I would like to introduce you to Stacy Quinley. He's our new assistant chief. He is a 26-year veteran here at Berea, 32 years in the fire service total. A few of those years there, he was at Berea Volunteers. He served as a lieutenant a battalion chief for 10 years and 11 years as lieutenant. So his leadership is second to none, trustworthy, and he's a mentor. So that's what we need in the fire service right now, somebody to put the boots on the ground and help us get the mission accomplished. So I'm excited to have him on by my side.
All right, can we give him a round of applause, Stacy? And I'll add that Stacy has his family here. That's special that you all are here to celebrate with him and with all of us and with his work family that's in the back, giving him a standing ovation. Appreciate you all being here too. Thank you, Stacy, and congratulations. Charlie, thank you. Appreciate you. All right. Would any other department heads like to address the council? Jay?
Yes, please. My news isn't as exciting as Charlie's. Congratulations, Stacy. I need to request to go over on a line in my budget, specifically the vehicle repair and maintenance line. We budgeted $30,000 in this line this year, and I know it's only August, but we had a few collisions. It's actually the last fiscal year, but the garages couldn't get to them. So one in particular is pretty expensive. It's $23,380. I have 2 cars waiting to be worked on. If we repaired them now, it would put us at $35,900, so around $6,000 over budget. What I'm requesting is that we go up to $45,000 in this line to get us through to the amended budget. I'm asking that because we're going to have oil changes, replace tires and transmissions. Things go wrong with vehicles all the time, so that's my request.
What's the line item, Chief?
That's vehicle repair and maintenance. Do I need the actual line?
I believe that's 2005-54-520.
Okay, thank you, Sean and Chief.
That's it.
So the request is for vehicle repair and maintenance to increase that line item from $30,000 to $45,000.
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
By Steve Cottle, is there a second? Cora Jane Wilson? Any discussion on the motion to approve the overage? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the overage vehicle repair and maintenance to $45,000, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries. Chief, you're good to go, and
Thank you.
hopefully we can have better luck here in the next few months. Thank you. Any other department heads would like to address the council? All right, seeing none, we'll move forward to the city administrator's report, and I'll recognize Sean Sandlin. John, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Also, order of business, following our personnel financial policies, I have an overage in admin, it'd be FY '25 budget. It'd be account number 010-1005-54-100, which is advertising. The overage is $5,920, bringing the total to $12,920.
So the request is to approve an overage in administration 010-1005-54100, advertising, overage of $5920, which would increase the line item total to $12,920.
Correct.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
By Steve Cottle, is there a second? By Ronnie Terrell. See Ronnie on the end. Any discussion on the motion to approve the overage as stated? Steve?
I would make the point that the advertising line that Sean is referring to is the one that we would use for essentially all legal required advertisement, whether that be for an ordinance that needs to be posted, an RFP that needs to be posted within newspapers and things like that. So this is not us advertising the city of Berea. These are all legal required advertising that has caused us to go over.
Correct. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. Other discussion or comments on the motion? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the overage to a total of $12,920 and the advertising line item in administration, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. The motion is carried. John, you're approved.
Thank you all. Just wanted to bring you all up to where we stand today on the 911 collection fee. As you know, the city of Richmond has chosen to pull out of the funding agreement for 1 year and fund that portion of 911 on their own general fund. That would be 56% of the total budget, not including other revenues that come into that budget. So, and they also placed a not to exceed $2.388 million in their order. This placed the Madison County and us in a position of the remaining portion being funded by either using of the landline use fee or incorporating another fee within our own governments. By doing this has caused a concern with us as far as the county goes. The counties would pay 24% of the total budget, which equals to $1,018,640. Berea's portion is 20% at $873,120. $873,120. Madison County Fiscal Court decided to repeal Ordinance 2024-07 and reviving and reinstating Ordinance 07-11, which describes the funding will be back on the landline phone use until we can get the new funding model identified and new ordinances agreed upon and passage. We have put together a team to investigate and collect data within the city. Susan Hilton and myself, along with other key staff, have already been working on collecting the data, evaluating on how we will fairly distribute the 911 fee across all 911 users. We will be bringing a resolution before you in this body, repealing the resolution that you have passed in the past, not only to the funding model, but the interlocal agreement that went along with the funding. Having said that, I believe that all three governments are committed in having a viable and efficient 911 center, that the mission remains the same, and that is to dispatch the right responder to the right location at the right time. I think all three governments are very well on board with having that, and it's important for us to work through these details and come up with a solution that we can all agree upon and fairly assess how that looks through our city. And I think we're well on track with being able to do that. And I think that's all I wanted to get across as far as the 911 fee goes. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Good report. Any questions or comments for the city administrator? Steve?
Sean, would, before you put that resolution out, would the details of how it would be funded be gone over by the council in any way? Would we have a work session or anything like that before?
Yeah,
it comes to
that would be,
point? Okay.
that'd be correct. We're looking at a month or
Okay.
a little longer of bringing something to you all, probably a couple of options. We'll have a work session over, and we could have a couple of work sessions if it takes it. Like, I don't think we're in such a hurry that we need to do something right this minute, but we do need to figure it out, and you all will have the options to how we move forward.
When do we actually, I mean, when's the bill gonna be, you know?
Well, I think they're gonna-
When are we having to outsource the money? When's it coming out of the account?
They're gonna bill us quarterly, I believe.
Okay.
So we have a
Gives
little
us
bit
some
of
time.
time here, but, we was expecting that money to come in December as a whole, and now we're gonna be looking at a different way, or potentially a different way. So, we might be behind the 8 ball just a little bit, so we'll have to look at the amended budget and see how to get that going, how to start that, but, yeah. Lots of information coming your all's way as soon as we get to that point.
Other questions or comments for Sean? Ronnie?
John, what about the pickleball field? What's the status of it? I mean, how soon do we think we'll be starting on it?
That's a good question, Ronnie. I think currently we have an RFP out that we received back last week as far as the asphalt goes. We have quotes from other vendors, say the rock, the grading, different things like that takes place, the fencing. We're looking to move forward with that. We're trying to align all of the details and the contractors working together to make that a smooth transition. Brian Reed is working daily on that. So
Okay.
I think within the next couple of weeks, hopefully we'll get some ground movement.
Okay. You will announce it whenever they start on the pickleball field, so everybody be happy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing is, the shades that's going up at the park, when do you think they'll be completed?
That's a good question. I don't think we've got anything back from the engineers on that. We did hit some pyritic shell, which from dealing with the Owsley Fork issue, that once that's uncovered, it has to be sealed or covered that same day. And we ran into just a little bit of an issue with that. And once again, Brian Reed found that it wasn't properly done. So we had to go back in. The shade structure company had to look at their engineering and how to treat that and make sure that they're doing it appropriately. So we just have to give them just a little bit of time to come back with an answer.
Did they come back and want to charge us more for the,
No, it's all built in with the contract.
okay. Thanks.
Other questions or comments for the city administrator? John?
Do we have any progress on the Ellipse Street shared use path?
That's a good a sore subject, John. We was supposed to start that today, and I got an email from the Allen Company yesterday and told them that other projects has pushed us out just a little bit further, but hopefully I can hear something back within the next week or two and get that movement.
Other questions or comments for Sean?
Might as well throw the pool in there while we're doing it.
Right. The pool's moving along really good, actually. I think they've started the slide. We've putting the structure up on the slide. The liner's going in currently. There's just a little bit more of concrete work that needs to be done. They're taking all precautions while doing that as to not mess with the liner. The Marilla's done a really good job lately, and I think throughout the whole project, really, given that the weather that they've been encountering. So we're moving very quickly on that. Hopefully mid-October, we'll have the pool full and testing complete.
Other questions or comments for Sean? All right, Sean, good report. A lot of things going on. And I just, on Mayor's comments, we'll move forward to that. Just want to cover a couple of things that would complement what Sean had to say regarding the 911 fee. Just as a reminder, on July the 1st, I went through a timeline that covered pretty much what had happened up until that point. And I think Sean's presentation today covered really well what's happened since July the 1st. And I do want to reiterate that I believe that all three governments agree that we have to have a strong 911, and there's no wavering on that. I think everybody's committed to a countywide strong 911 communication center. It's simply a matter of how do we pay for it. And let's not lose sight that we do not have grant-based funding to pay for that anymore, and we got to find a new way to do that. Anytime you have that, you go through some growing pains, and I think that's what's happening. But I'm confident that we will come to a resolution that's in the best interest of all of our citizens here in Berea, as well as the citizens throughout the county. It's just going to take some time to work through that process. I also want to restate my view that it's critical that we have a rapid response to citizens who call 911, but it's also critical to our first responders, our firefighters, our police officers, and the ambulance service that responds anytime someone calls 911. The dispatcher at the 911 communication center is the eyes and ears of our first responders. So not only are they keeping our citizens safe, they're keeping our first responders safe. And it's critical that we have them to be the eyes and ears of our first responders and the first responders of other agencies in the county. And I do too, Steve, to your question earlier, I do look forward to a work session in the near future where Sean, who is as much an expert on this process as anybody in our county, where Sean can go over and present options for our city council on all possible options that we would have. And at this point, we think everything's on the table. And again, it does put us in a situation where we have to choose what's best for us rather than having one unified way to raise those funds that would be county-wide. And that's okay. We can work through that. I'm convinced that we're up to the task and that you'll have some options to choose from in the very near future. That concludes my comments. I do want to add one other thing. I wasn't planning. Congratulations to Stacy, well deserved. And again, thank you to all of your firefighters that are here in support, and also the family. You all are always welcome here, and I'm glad to see you here. And big day for you all too. So glad that you're here. That concludes my comments. We'll move to council comments, and I'll begin with John Payne. Mr. Payne.
No comment.
Thank you, sir. Next, we'll move to Steve Davis.
I'd just like to thank Priscilla and her crew for keeping things going this summer in the absence of the pool. Saw a lot of events advertised, and I don't know how well they were all attended, but we certainly made a great attempt at keeping people outdoors and keeping the water running and having some opportunities for folks, even though we didn't have the pool. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Steve. Next, we'll move to Jerry Little.
No comment.
Thank you, Jerry. Steve Cottle.
I would like to congratulate Assistant Chief Quinley. I think that when we see people who continue to excel and move up within our ranks, it is a great example of the culture that we've built over the years, and a lot of that is really just a testament to the leaders before and the people who have kind of stuck around and been a part of the culture. I really feel like in a lot of the areas of our city, we continue to see really great leadership. And Fire Chief made a comment about in describing our new Assistant Chief and he mentioned that he was a mentor to other firefighters. And I feel like that is where the strength that we've had and that I've always seen during the time that I've been involved with the city is that we have had a lot of really great leaders who have taken the time to mentor and put into the next generation. And so I commend all those involved in the organization who have created that environment. And I'm glad to see that you've been named Assistant Chief. Congratulations.
Thank you, Steve. We'll move next to Cora Jane Wilson. Cora Jane.
I just wanted to say thanks, Kevin. I think it's sounding positive now. And Stacy, congratulations. Hard work. I know that. And all you guys that came to support him, that's wonderful. Shows what Sean kind of let trickle down was my thought process. And thanks everybody for coming, and let's get ready for school to start, y'all. Have a great day.
Thank you, Cora Jane, and last but not least, Ronnie Terrell. Ronnie.
I want to remind everybody that school is starting next week, and the visual about the school buses and the kids and all that good stuff, even the college students, I think they're back on campus, ain't they? 2 weeks. So keep your eyes open. That's all.
Thank you, Ronnie. That brings us to the end of our agenda. Is there a motion?
So
to
moved.
adjourn? By Steve Cottle, and I see a second by John Payne. All in favor of the motion to adjourn, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no.